Hello and welcome to episode 22 of the Mr. Douglas Sports Show. I am your host as always, Corey Douglas, and I am broadcasting live on a new camera that my girl got me for my birthday. And let me tell you, this camera is the reason why I am broadcasting today on a Friday versus my normal Wednesday shift. So let me tell you what I've been through with this camera. So it's a nice digital Canon SX740 or something along those lines, and in the box that the camera comes with, you get the camera itself, you get the battery, and that's it. So that when you talk about memory cards, you don't get that, and which is fine, whatever, you can, because it's a rechargeable battery, so you can deal with it. But let me tell you the trick on this. So I recorded the video on my normal day, got it ready, and I find out because the camera has Wi-Fi, and I'm thinking, okay, Wi-Fi is cool, I can just do a wireless transfer. Nah, it's not that simple. So what you have to do is you have to do the Wi-Fi transfer, but they don't tell you it takes 8 hours to transfer it through the Wi-Fi because you have to have a special cord for it. So the special cord that you have not only helps the transfer go faster, but it also charges the camera. So with the previous video, I set it to transfer, and I'm like, wow, this is going really slow. And then the camera dies in the middle of it. So the transfer is about 9 to 12 gigabytes. It gets to 3 and dies. So then instead of saving the progress that you have with the camera, it all goes away. So that's what I've been dealing with, and that's why I'm broadcasting live on a Friday instead of my normal Wednesday. But regardless, I'm here. Obviously, the Cowboys are 2-5 after getting smoked in Washington on this past Sunday, 25-3. And I'm not really going to talk about too much of that game just because, I mean, when you score 3 points, there's not much to talk about. But I am going to talk about one play. The one play that I'm going to talk about from this Dallas-Washington game from last Sunday is the play with Andy Dalton. Alright, so Andy Dalton, it's in the third quarter, they're down 22-3, but Andy Dalton, he's out there fighting. You know, he's getting outside the pocket, he's trying to make a play, and on this particular play, he gets outside the pocket, and he's scrambling, he gets about 4 or 5 yards, he goes to get down, and John Bostic comes in, takes a cheap shot to his head. And this is the moment I knew this Cowboys team, they're not playing for anything. They're not playing for one another. They're heartless. They're gutless. And they have no motivation. They're not playing for anything. Because when Andy Dalton takes that cheap shot, not one single Cowboy comes to his defense. On 31 of 32 NFL franchises, if their quarterback takes a cheap shot to the head like Andy Dalton did this past Sunday, it is going to be a riot right there on the field. But not with this Cowboys team. And what that tells me is this Cowboys team has given up on the season. There are a bunch of guys that are just playing for a paycheck at this point, and it's not a real team environment. Now, you can say that's, you know, the loss of Dak, who was holding it together, which I think that is a big part of it. But I just think it's the way the season's gone. Injuries have taken a toll on the team, and just these guys, they lack a lot of heart, and that goes to each individual man. And for you not to stand up for your teammate, your quarterback in that situation, it told me a lot about this team. And because of what I was told by this team, that they're heartless and not playing for anything, after the game on Sunday against Washington, I went straight to a website called Tankathon.com. And if you're not familiar with Tankathon.com, you basically can see where you rank as far as the league's worst. And you can see exactly where you're picked. So I went to Tankathon.com, and I went to the NFL tab, and I went down the list, and there the Cowboys are. They're at number 8 right now. And for me, what I'm rooting for the rest of the season is complete chaos. So I want the Cowboys to improve their draft position from number 8, and I want them to get to the top 3. What that does for you at that point is, obviously there's a contract situation going on with Dak Prescott. The Cowboys and Dak have not been able to agree to a contract. So by securing a top 3 pick, it gives you or gets you in position to potentially take Trevor Lawrence from Clemson, Justin Fields from Ohio State, Or if you come to an agreement with Dak, you can package up that pick, because your phone is going to be ringing off the hook if you're sitting at the top 3. And these teams are going to be these teams that are desperate for a quarterback. They're going to be blowing your phone up, and you'll be able to accumulate so many draft picks that you'll be able to surround Dak with even more talent than you have to this point in his career. So that's what I'm rooting for. I want complete chaos. Another thing that I've been thinking about these last few days since I've been on Tankathon.com, the Cowboys season is headed nowhere quickly, is I've started to think about why not see what these young players have. So Randy Gregory came back from suspension this past week against Washington, only played 6 snaps. I want to see all the young guys. I want to see Randy Gregory. I want to see Bradley Anae. I want to see Donovan Wilson. I want to see Reggie Robinson II, who hasn't really played much at all this season. I want to see Connor McGovern on the offensive line. I want to continue to see Terrence Steele to see if he can turn into something. And I want to see Ben DiNucci. So obviously Andy Dalton is in concussion protocol. It's unknown whether he's going to play or not. I would lean towards no. So I want the DiNucci show. I want the Nucci Mane. I want the Nucci Mane out there. See what he has. See if we even need a third quarterback. And I think a lot of the moves that came this week are kind of lining up with that thought process. I think the Cowboys are at a point in the season where they're saying, okay, this season's probably not going anywhere. We don't have our quarterback. We have a slew of injuries on the offensive line and on offense in general. So why not see what these young players have? So you saw the Cowboys trade Everson Griffin to Detroit for a conditional 6th-round pick that could potentially turn into a 5th-round pick. They got rid of Dontari Poe and Daryl Worley after not being able to get anything for them because they're terrible. And that opens the door for some previous names I mentioned. Bradley Anae, Randy Gregory, Donovan Wilson, Reggie Robinson. So that's kind of my goal for the rest of the season. And if the Cowboys happen to win with these young players with DiNucci leading the squad, so be it. I won't be as mad as if they put Andy Dalton back in and win 6 or 7 games, win the division. Because to me, even winning 4 or 5 games, that does nothing for you except ruin some of your draft position. Alright, so the Cowboys do have a game this weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's on Sunday Night Football in prime time. And this is obviously a matchup of 2 teams that a lot of people had fighting it out for the division title this year in the NFC East. That hasn't quite materialized. Both teams have struggled with injuries. So you can go down the list with Philadelphia. They've dealt with a lot of injuries on the offensive line, just like the Cowboys. You have All-Pro Lane Johnson that's been in and out. Jason Peters has been in and out. And then Miles Sanders, he's missed the last couple of weeks, the running back. You have Deshaun Jackson, who came back last Thursday against the Giants. Got hurt again, so he's out for about 6 to 8 weeks. You have Zach Ertz, who's on IR, tight end. You have another tight end, Dallas Goedert, who went to IR. He's missed the last few weeks. He has a chance of returning. But when you look at the Eagles, they still have a defense that can get after your quarterback. So I expect Jim Schwartz to come after Ben DiNucci if DiNucci is indeed starting. And that leads me to my keys to the game. So if you're one of the Cowboys fans that's still holding out hope and you want to win every game and win the division, it's still possible, I have 2 keys to the game. Number 1, the Cowboys have to be able to get the ball back into their playmakers' hands. And I'm talking those playmakers being Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's coming off his worst day as a pro so far. 5 targets, couldn't convert 1 catch. Michael Gallup went on Sunday without a catch. So first you have to be able to protect up front to get the ball to the playmakers. But I'm looking for the Cowboys. I expect them to see a lot of blitz. So I'm looking for the Cowboys to be able to get out there and get the ball in some one-on-one matchups to these 3 stud receivers and taking your chances that way. Number two, I have for the Cowboys to come away with a win against Philadelphia is the Cowboys have to be able to get after Carson Wentz. Because when I watch Carson Wentz, I see a quarterback that is prone to the mistake under pressure. So if you can get a pass rush after him, you start to see some of the decision making is lacking. He gets outside the pocket, rolling right, tries to throw across his body to the left. Obviously, that's not a smart football play, but I see a lot of that from Carson Wentz when I watch the Eagles. So if you can get pressure, I think you can force him into a couple of mistakes, and those mistakes could turn into points for the Cowboys. And we all know how the Cowboys have been dominated in the points off of turnovers this season. So in order for them to win on Sunday, they're going to have to reverse that trend. Alright, so transitioning from a couple of teams that have been underperforming due to injuries this season, let's go to some of the teams that are playing the best football. And that's with my NFL power rankings for this week. Alright, so last week's rankings were the Kansas City Chiefs, the Seattle Seahawks, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans, and Green Bay Packers. This week there are some changes. So let's go ahead and go run down this list. So number one is still the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this last couple of weeks shows how versatile the Chiefs are, because it hasn't been the Mahomes show these last couple of weeks. What you've seen these last couple of weeks against Buffalo on a Monday afternoon, you saw the run game get involved. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 161 yards rushing, and Mahomes doesn't have to do much. Then you see this past Sunday against Denver, the defense and special teams comes to life, and the defense and special teams carries the Chiefs to a win. So I think they are the most well-rounded team to this point in the season. And Tyrann Mathieu said after the game against the Broncos, he said that they're getting some of their championship swagger back that they had from last year. So if they get that rolling, and they're still working in Le'Veon Bell, who they acquired before or a couple weeks ago, it gets scary for KC. Number two, I have to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They go into Tennessee last weekend and they get a big road win, and they dominated the first half. Tennessee gets in the game in the second half, but Pittsburgh's able to hold on and move on to 6-0, and they play Baltimore in another road clash this weekend, so that should be a good one. Stay tuned for that. Number three, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, they came off a tough Sunday night loss against the Arizona Cardinals. It was a very uncharacteristic night for Russell Wilson, who threw 3 picks, and the last one led to the game-winning field goal in overtime. I don't think you'll see that again. That's why I still have them as my number 3 team in the NFL. Number 4, and this team has not made an appearance in my top 5 to this point in the season, but they are here now and they are playing some great football, and that is the Tampa Bay Bucks. Since week 3, Tom Brady has 15 touchdowns to 1 interception. The 15 touchdowns are the most in the NFL in that span. And that defense, we've seen what they can do. They are doing a great job, and they are sitting at number 4 in this week's power rankings. Number 5, I have the Green Bay Packers. They go on the road this past weekend against a very underwhelming Houston team. They blow the doors off of them. Devontae Adams goes crazy. Aaron Rodgers continues his MVP level. And they move on to 5-1. Alright, so as we do every week, let's go ahead and transition to my Week 8 picks. Obviously, since I'm recording on a Friday, we had Thursday Night Football already. The Atlanta Falcons helped out my Cowboys with draft position by getting a second win over the Carolina Panthers. I did not pick the Falcons in that game. I picked the Panthers, so my Thursday night terrible picks continue. But on to Sunday's action. Give me the Buffalo Bills at home against the New England Patriots. Cam Newton has fallen off a cliff these last few weeks, and I think that trend continues this week. Give me the Titans going on the road to Cincinnati. Give me the Browns to take care of the Raiders at home. Give me the Colts to take care of the Lions on the road. Give me the Packers to take care of the Minnesota Vikings. Give me the Chiefs taking care of the Jets. Give me the Rams going on the road across the country to take care of the Miami Dolphins in Tua's debut. Give me the Steelers, once again on the road, taking care of one of the better AFC teams against the Ravens. Give me the Chargers on the road in Denver against the Broncos. Justin Herbert continues to be amazing. Give me the Saints over the Bears. Give me the Seahawks rebounding at home against the red hot all of a sudden 49ers. Give me the Buccaneers in New York, in the Meadowlands, on Monday Night Football to defeat the Giants. And then lastly, give me the Philadelphia Eagles to take care of the Dallas Cowboys. Once again, I don't really give a damn whether the Cowboys win or not at this point. I want them to get the best draft position they have. So if they go 2-14, so be it. This season's going nowhere, and it's going nowhere fast. That is going to do it for this week's episode of the Mr. Douglas Sports Show. I will be back on Wednesday. I think I got this camera situation figured out. But until next time, salute.